Did you know that psychological studies suggest people say, "I'm fine," when they're actually not fine in up to 70% of cases? Alarming, isn't it? But here's what's even more disturbing. This simple two-word phrase is often loaded with hidden manipulation, emotional dishonesty, and psychological warfare that you're completely missing. Today, I'm going to decode the dark psychology behind "I'm fine" and reveal what people are really hiding when they use this phrase. Secrets so deep that once you understand them, you'll never hear these words the same way again. Before we dive in, if you're ready to see through the lies and understand what people are truly communicating, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Now, let's uncover the truth. Pay very close attention, because what I'm about to reveal will change how you interpret every conversation you have. "I'm fine" might be the most common lie in human communication, but it's not just a simple denial of feelings. Depending on who says it and how they say it, this phrase can be a weapon, a shield, a trap, or a cry for help. The dark psychology behind these two words is that they create a barrier that serves the speaker's agenda while leaving you in the dark about what's really happening. Think about this. How many times have you heard someone say, "I'm fine," and knew something was wrong, but couldn't quite figure out what? How many times have you said it yourself while hiding something much deeper? What if I told you that this phrase is one of the most manipulative tools in human interaction, used to control, punish, deceive, and manipulate without ever having to be honest? Don't miss a single second of this, because understanding what people really mean when they say "I'm fine" could transform your relationships and protect you from emotional manipulation you never saw coming. Without further delay, let's decode the dark psychology. The silent treatment disguised as calm. When someone says "I'm fine" in a cold, clipped tone, especially after a conflict or when you know they're upset, this isn't an honest status update. This is passive-aggressive punishment. What they're really saying is, "I'm not fine, I'm furious, and I want you to know it without me having to say it directly." This is emotional withdrawal as a control tactic, and it's one of the most damaging uses of this phrase. Here's the psychology behind this version. By saying "I'm fine" when they're clearly not fine, they're creating a double bind for you. If you accept their words at face value and move on, they can accuse you of being insensitive and not caring enough to notice they're upset. But if you press them and insist something's wrong, they can deny it and make you feel like you're the problem for not believing them. Either way, you lose, and they maintain control of the emotional dynamic while punishing you with silence and distance. If someone tells you they're fine, but their body language, tone, and energy all scream the opposite, recognize this for what it is: manipulation through denial. They want you to chase them, to beg them to open up, to prove you care enough to break through their wall. This gives them power because you are now working to earn access to their feelings, and they can keep you in that desperate state for as long as they want. Real communication involves honesty. This version of "I'm fine" is dishonest warfare disguised as composure. The person using it wants you to feel their anger without them having to take responsibility for expressing it. Don't play this game. If someone says they're fine but acts otherwise, you can acknowledge it once, but don't chase. People who weaponize "I'm fine" are showing you they don't respect direct communication, and that's a red flag you can't ignore. The martyr complex in action. Another dark use of "I'm fine" comes when someone is clearly struggling, overwhelmed, or carrying too much, but they refuse help while simultaneously making sure you know they're suffering. They say "I'm fine" while sighing heavily, while looking exhausted, while clearly falling apart. What they're really saying is, "I'm not fine, but I'm going to pretend I am so you feel guilty and I can play the victim." This is martyrdom psychology. Here's how this manipulation works. By insisting they're fine while visibly struggling, they're creating a narrative where they're the selfless hero who handles everything alone, while everyone else fails to appreciate their sacrifice. This phrase becomes a tool for garnering sympathy, admiration, and guilt from others without directly asking for it. They want you to see them suffering and feel bad about it, but if you offer help, they'll often refuse because accepting help would undermine their martyr status. If you know someone who constantly says they're fine, but clearly drowning in stress, responsibilities, or emotional pain, but rejects every offer of assistance, you're dealing with someone who values the perception of suffering more than they value actually feeling better. This creates a toxic dynamic where you're forced to watch them struggle, feel guilty about it, but are powerless to help because they won't allow it. The goal isn't to solve their problems. The goal is to make sure everyone knows they have problems and that they're handling them alone. This version of I'm fine is designed to make you feel like you're not doing enough, that you're failing them, even though they're actively preventing you from helping. It's emotional manipulation that keeps you perpetually guilty and indebted. Real people who are struggling either admit it or actually mask it effectively. The performance of being fine while clearly not fine is strategic, and the strategy is making you feel responsible for their suffering without giving you any power to alleviate it. The avoidance shield. Sometimes I'm fine is used not to manipulate others, but to hide from oneself. When someone is dealing with deep issues, trauma, pain, or problems they don't want to face, they say I'm fine as a way to avoid confronting reality. What they're really saying is, I can't deal with this right now, so I'm going to pretend it doesn't exist. This is psychological avoidance, and while it might not be consciously manipulative, it creates problems in relationships. Here's why this matters. When someone uses I'm fine to avoid dealing with legitimate issues, they're not just hiding from themselves, they're hiding from you too. This prevents authentic connection and allows problems to fester and grow. The person saying this might genuinely believe they're fine in the moment because they've buried their feelings so deep that they can't access them anymore. But eventually, those buried emotions will surface, often in destructive ways like explosive anger, passive aggression, or sudden relationship breakdowns that seem to come out of nowhere. If you have someone in your life who habitually says they're fine, but you can see patterns of unresolved pain, unaddressed trauma, or emotional suppression, understand that you're not getting the real person. You're getting a defended version who's terrified of vulnerability. This isn't necessarily malicious, but it's still a form of dishonesty that prevents real intimacy. The challenge is that you can't force someone to confront what they're hiding from, but you also can't have a genuine relationship with someone who won't be honest about their inner life. This version of I'm fine is a wall that keeps everyone at a safe distance where they can't see the truth. It's self-protection that becomes relationship sabotage. If someone in your life seems to live behind this phrase, recognize that they're choosing safety over connection, and you need to decide if you can accept a relationship with someone who won't let you in. The deceptive dismissal. One of the most insidious uses of I'm fine is when someone is actively hiding something significant, like infidelity, betrayal, financial problems, or major life decisions they've made without you, and they use this phrase to shut down your intuition. What they're really saying is, stop asking questions because I need you not to discover what I'm hiding. This is deflection through false reassurance. Here's the dark psychology here. When you sense something is wrong and ask about it, and the person immediately jumps to I'm fine, everything's fine, they're trying to gaslight your instincts. They're banking on you accepting their words over your gut feeling. This version is particularly dangerous because it's designed to make you doubt your own perception. You know something feels off, but they're telling you directly that it's not, which makes you question whether you're imagining things or being paranoid. If your intuition tells you something is wrong and the person dismisses your concerns with a quick I'm fine that feels too defensive or too immediate, trust your instincts over their words. Pay attention to context. Are there other signs of deception? Have they become more secretive? Do they seem anxious when you ask questions? Are there inconsistencies in their stories or behavior? The "I'm fine" in this context is a smokescreen, a way to buy time while they continue whatever they're hiding or figure out how to manage the situation. This phrase becomes part of a larger pattern of deception. Real people who are genuinely fine don't usually need to be defensive about it. They're open. They'll explain why they seem off if they do, or they'll admit they're dealing with something but don't want to talk about it yet. But the immediate, defensive "I'm fine," followed by subject change or irritation at being asked, that's someone protecting a secret, and you need to pay very close attention to what that secret might be before it explodes in your face. The emotional testing ground. Sometimes people say "I'm fine" when they're not, specifically to test if you'll notice, if you'll care enough to push past the lie, or if you'll prove your love by reading between the lines. What they're really saying is, "I'm not fine, and I'm testing if you love me enough to notice and pursue the truth." This is validation seeking through dishonesty, and it creates an exhausting dynamic.